From LALATE News headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Mornings LALATE.
It's a big morning of Mornings LA with incredible great news about your fourth stimulus check update of 2022 and those $80,000 of checks that went live this week. We'll be looking at those incredible $80,000 checks. Did you get it? I'll show you how to get it in today's recording. We'll be looking at the sixth stimulus package that will be happening at the same time. And the third stimulus is still paying out. We have an update about CR, and we also have an update about SS300. SS300 getting major twists overnight with the bond yields going higher. What does this mean for your benefits if you're on SSI and SSDI? All the latest details in today's recording. Then we'll be looking at the situation unfolding overseas that impacts your money at home. This lines up the sixth stimulus package. They'll be happening at the same time as all these other incredible sums of money. Then we'll be looking at what happened this week with the CR and what will be happening next week with another CR? What is going on, folks? I have the latest details in today's recording live on air from Santa Monica, California. Plus, we'll have a preview of tonight's evening's LA broadcast. It's in prime time. It's America's most watched financial news show, and tonight we'll go over why Putin stimulus is sixth stimulus and why it's happening and what the presidents of France and Germany did minutes ago before I went on live on air with you. I have the latest details on that. But first, as the morning unfolds and opens on the shores of Santa Monica, California, your toast is toasting and your $80,000 stimulus checks are roasting. No, I don't have to get a better expression for that one. But the good news is that those $80,000 checks are slivering into our hands like delicious butter with bacon for breakfast. We'll go over how to get those incredible $80,000 checks. They need a better expression. They just need a better expression. And we'll go over that incredible map and what it means for you. Whether you're in Ohio, whether you're in California, whether in Florida or Texas, checks $80,000 are going live, and you need those in view of the potential recession abounds. We'll be looking at what happened with oil overnight and all those details and more as we go into a big broadcast from the shores of Santa Monica, California. It's a great morning, and it's a great day, and it's exciting, and it's Mornings. And good morning, everybody. I hope you're having a beautiful day. Recessionary environments could loom in the United States, but for now, $80,000 of checks are going live, and I hope you got your application in. If you haven't, I'll show you how to do it in today's recording. These are fourth stimulus $80,000 checks that are going live, and they're paying out right now. Then we'll be looking at the sixth stimulus package, major developing details just minutes ago. This is huge, and you're in for the first time live on air. Mornings LA from Santa Monica, California. This is a beautiful Saturday morning of March 12th, 2022. The latest developing details across the board, but first we're going to start with the Build Back Better Act, the fourth stimulus recon that will get passed, the President of the United States says in new comments. It'll be featured extensively in prime time on Evenings LA tonight at 5 o'clock. We'll go over each of those checks in detail then, but first let's just go over a preview of tonight's broadcast. There are three clusters of checks and three add-ons that amount to about $15,000. In that first cluster of checks, we have hazard pay. And we also have money for the elder care in that first cluster. Lots of incredible checks. Let's look at that incredible first cluster. Again, hazard pay got in there for my essential workers and $4,000 of elder care. They got in there also the money for the CTC for the children and also the home repairs if you live in a low-income community, and then $12,500 for the purchase of your first home. That is the first of three clusters of checks in the Build Back Better Act. Now let's look at the first add-on of checks. Comes from the shores here of Southern California. Maxine Waters got it in there, just a little bit less than $25,000 for the purchase of your first home. It's huge. She got it in there on the house side, and it's staying in there. Now let's look at the second cluster of checks. They have in there home repairs and paid leave. Paid leave, you have to stay home due to sickness or illness. How do you get these checks? Tune into that Evenings LA special 1 hour broadcast tonight. 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. America's most watched show in for financial news in prime time. Let's now go to that second add-on of checks, $250 billion of free home health care for seniors and people on disabilities. Seniors also got a lot of checks in that third cluster, which includes free internet for all checks, farmers checks, independent contractors checks. But when we look at seniors, lots of checks. They got in there hearing, vision, dental, lowering the eligibility age of Medicare, and the Medicaid gap fix, which is par for the course when we're talking about adding checks to this recon. Among the checks they would add in there is MSC. This is a body of checks that would be monthly, sent out by IRS, on top of the existing checks that are already in the fourth stimulus recon. Tonight on Evenings LALATE, we'll go over these MSC checks in detail, but for now, what do you need to know? It would have the same eligibility as a third stimulus check. Single individual, $75,000 or less, you get it. Married couple, $150,000 or less, you get it. The amount is $2,000 the first month, $1,000 thereafter, says the legislators to viewership of this channel. This is MSC. This is a third add-on to the Build Back Better Act that already has $15,000 to $80,000 of checks already in there. But the great news is that you don't have to wait for Build Back Better Act to pass, because guess what? The fourth stimulus add-on or ancillary piece of legislation is law, and it's this map. It's the homeowners grant, and it's paying out $80,000 stimulus checks today. How do you get these checks? Stay with me. I'm going to go over them later in this recording. This is nationwide. This is for you, and you get these incredible sums of money. Now, let's go over what happened this week as well with that CR. A continuing resolution was passed by Congress this week, but the CR did not have a $2,000 stimulus check. It did, however, have county stimulus in there. Surprising, shocking. 2 years ago, this channel made history by getting a $600 stimulus check into the 2020 CR. At the time, the response from critics was, you don't put stimulus for citizens in a CR. Well, guess what? This week, the House Democrats clearly were watching this channel for the last 2 years, and they got stimulus for citizens in there on a county basis. So watch your county news. Says look at the particular county programs that your legislator got in there. In the case of Georgia, they got a lot of it. County stimulus got into the continuing resolution, and there you rock and roll. Now, very also confusing is what the president's doing this coming week. The president said that he did not get his money in the CR, so he's coming up back with another piece of legislation. We'll just call it CR, 1.0 and a half. I don't know even what to call it. This ancillary piece of legislation will be introduced by the White House next week, because the White House wanted its money in there, didn't get it, and they're going to try it again. Confusing? I'll keep it clear for you all this week as we watch what the White House does. The opportunity to get a stimulus check in there is opportunity as well, because the White House is putting lots of funds in this add-on piece of legislation. It's a CR after the CR. It's a fun things across the board, starting number one, COVID, and potentially number two, you as well. So we'll be watching that developing detail across the board. The week ended with a big surprise as Wall Street thought that it understood where inflation is going, and then suddenly realized maybe it doesn't. And this is your SS300. SS300 is the ability to raise your benefits up $203 a month by swapping out COLA for inflation. It's detailed extensively tonight in Evenings LALATE, but the way it works is you want Joe Biden to swap out COLA for inflation now, when inflation's at its highest price point of a generation. So the question is, when would inflation be coming down? We thought we knew the analysis, but we potentially had a pivot this week. What happened? The inflationary number predicted by this channel back last year was going to be 8% in December. Wall Street all last year said, I don't think inflation is going to go that high. I said it's going to be 8% December last year. I was right, because the inflationary number came in last December for 7.5%. That was then. Then we tried to figure out what inflation was going to be for the month of January. I said it was going to be 8%. Wall Street said, maybe 7. It came in 7.9% on Thursday. The Consumer Price Index number released. Okay, so we're currently still tracking at 8%. The question is, where is that inflation number going to be between now and May? Because Joe Biden needs to swap out COLA for inflation right now. Let me explain to you why. Your benefits are tied to a benchmark. Once your benefits go up, they never go down. So you want to be tied in at the highest inflationary rate of a generation now before it goes down. And who's going to bring it down? Jay Powell, his head of the Federal Reserve. His job is to lower inflation. And he's going to do certain things in the next 5 months. I'll go over his part of the analysis in a second. But you want Joe Biden to make that COLA swap to inflation now because it's 8% in December, 8% in January. And so where is it going to be in May? Let's go over that part of the analysis right now. The Consumer Price Index, 8% on Thursday. But also happening on Thursday was a pivot by the European Central Bank Chair, Christine Lagarde. She said inflation is tracking much higher, and she's a little bit worried. So she thinks it's higher. What happened on Friday, less than 24 hours ago, on March 11th? The 10-year Treasury note traded up dramatically because bond traders thought that inflation is actually higher now than that CPI number released Thursday for the month before. Remember, the CPI number is a month out. It's a month delayed. So the 10-year Treasury note on Thursday surged 1 basis point to 2.016%. The 30-year note, of course, was inverted. This is the highest surge we've seen on the 10-year Treasury note for almost, I think, 6 months on this channel. The reaction was inflation's here to stay. Let's get the quote. Thomas Papanos, founder and chief investment officer, ABP. Inflation's here to stay. The same quote. Yeah, it's just a catchy expression. Everyone uses that same expression. That was his quote. Inflation's here to stay. So if inflation's here to stay, 2 things at issue. 1, we're good for now if Joe swaps out COLA for inflation this month. We're good for April. And we're good for potentially half of May. The question is the later part of May. Let me tell you why. Jay Powell, his job is to reduce inflation. He's your chair of the Federal Reserve. How does he reduce inflation? He has the ability to raise interest rates at FOMC meetings, 5 of 5 in the next 5 months. He can have double raises, or he can have multiple spikes in the same meeting. What has he given us guidance for? He said, the March meeting, I'm doing 1 spike, the lesser one, a 1/4 basis point. Okay, so he's locked into that for now, for this month. So we're good if Joe makes a swap this month. What about in April? We're also good because whatever Jay Powell does in April would not impact our economy to almost a month later. It doesn't get into the system that quickly, an interest rate spike. So we're good also for April. The question is the May part of the equation. Jay Powell may be watching the bond market as I am, and I'm telling you right now from Friday. Jay Powell may be watching Christine Lagarde's comments from Thursday and may be worried that his pivot at a 1/4 basis point is a little too weak, and he may come in by April with a stronger interest rate spike. That is why you want Joe Biden to make the swap for COLA to inflation now. You don't want to get in a bind by April or potentially May when inflation is coming down. Because remember, when you lock in that higher interest rate, your benefits go up a generation. 8% right now would raise your benefits up $200, not just this year, but lifetime. This swap of COLA to inflation was a JoeBiden.com presidential platform written statement. It's not just pie in the sky. It's not something I invented. It's actually JoeBiden.com's presidential platform. And he needs to make that swap out right now by calling the Social Security Administrator across the board. If inflation drops later this year, which it will, because of interest rate spikes from Jay Powell, which will happen, then you'll get an additional spike later this year. Because guess what? Even if inflation comes in at 4% later this year, you'll go up another $100 lifetime starting next year. That's how this works. And tonight on Evenings LA and Prime Time, we'll go over these incredible moves for inflation, interest rates, and how they impact your benefits, SSI and SSDI. It's a very fluid situation. Coming up in the second half of this video, we'll be looking at the breaking news. It just happened minutes ago. Germany and France. What did Germany and France do minutes ago that impacts 6 stimulus? You hear on this channel, first, second, third, you hear this numbering system. Understand, one does not go before the other. I just use numbers to separate them out. I can use colors, I can use letters, I use numbers. Six stimulus is happening. And what is six stimulus for? And what happened with France and Germany minutes ago that is important for six stimulus? We'll be looking at that. But we can start at the commercial break with $80,000 of stimulus checks. It's deliciousness at breakfast time. It's deliciousness on Mornings Live, direct from Santa Monica, California, as a continuation continues right after the commercial break. But first, here's the community page. I'll be back with you in 60 seconds with those $80,000 of checks as the toast is toasted and the butter is buttering. See you back in 60 seconds. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.lalate.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on Mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues right now. Direct from Santa Monica, California, as Mornings LA goes into its big second half. You're looking at a beautiful map of $80,000 of checks. You can see North Carolina on that map. It's green, and it's paying out $80,000 right now. One person in the live chat, Pamela, says, why has North Carolina done nothing for us? No, North Carolina is giving $80,000. Congratulations to everyone in North Carolina who got $80,000 overnight. Pamela, go get it, and I'm going to show you how to get it. Another person says, the Raven, how do we get rental assistance? Great question, Raven. Its third stimulus is coming up later in this video. I got money for all of you. This is the $80,000 of fourth stimulus checks. I'm excited you're tuning in. We're going to go over that. We're going to go over third stimulus, and we're going to go over sixth stimulus in the big second half of Mornings LA live on air with a preview of tonight's primetime show, Evenings LA, 5 o'clock for Pacific Standard Time, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, America's most watched financial news show in prime time. Let's start first with the incredible great news about those $80,000 fourth stimulus add-on or ancillary piece of legislation. Build Back Better Act, fourth stimulus, not law yet, but this piece of legislation is an add-on. I call it the fourth stimulus add-on or fourth stimulus ancillary. It's law. And it was debuted, announced by the White House, not last Friday, not yesterday, but a week ago. And let's understand, when it was announced, it was not covered anywhere except here. Not in print, not in broadcast, not in cable. This is why this channel is number one in prime time for financial news. I immediately delivered it in prime time that night, that Friday ago, not this yesterday, but the week before that. And I immediately said that night it will be in the membership newsletter and that you need to apply immediately. Members immediately applied and have now gotten their application on file to get paid the $80,000. So let's go over what it is, how you get the money, what is it for, how the application process works, and what you need to know. First, before we start, I want you to understand this is for homeowners, but I got money for renters coming up later in this video. This is nationwide for everyone. Let's go over the broad stroke of what it is. First, it was launched by the White House 2 Fridays ago and went live last Monday. It is $80,000 stimulus checks for homeowners. Eligibility is just like a third stimulus check, and you need to get your application on file right away. So let's first understand what's at an issue and the exciting details of this incredible sums of money. First, this is $80,000 checks per household, ranging anywhere from 15 to 80,000. Number one. Number two, the eligibility is just like a third stimulus check. So you have to be in the zone of income qualifications that would be the same as a third. Single individual, 75,000 or less, you get it, and married couple, 150,000 or less, you get it. Now, when I say $15,000 to $80,000 a household, that means that's the total payout. So if the household has 20 people, you don't take the number and times it times 20. Or the household has 4 people, doesn't mean you take the number and times it by 4. It's $15,000 to $80,000 per household. If you're on benefits, you can get it if you're within the income zone, 75,000 or less, single individual, or married couple, 150,000 or less. So yes, if you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, veterans benefits, are a homeowner, and are within the zone of income that I just covered, you can get it. Now, I created the expression purple power hawks pounce purple hawks last year to describe to get money when a program goes live. This is absolutely tour de force. This is where you pounce as a purple hawk to get the money before anyone else because it's first come, first serve. Let me first show you this map, and then I'll go back and explain to you what this map denotes. The map shows every state of the union. Some states have different colors. What I want you to understand is every state has this program. So the one viewer who's in the live chat said there's nothing in North Carolina. It not only is in North Carolina, which is teal and green, it's live, meaning it's already receiving the application, teal, and it's already paid out. Let's go over what the colors mean in this chart. Teal, like California, Texas, North Carolina, Florida, Missouri, means it's receiving the applications and is already paying on the applications. In the case of pink, Ohio, Mississippi, South Carolina, it means it's receiving the applications, and once it's ready to pay, it will pay. Repeat, every state has the money. Every state will pay the money. Why are some states faster than others? Because the computer system is faster than others. It's not because of anything else. So California got it rolled out very quickly. Now, if you've been with this channel since day one, this is exactly what the very first recording was on this channel on April 25th, 2020 looked like. On the shores of Hermosa Beach, in the middle of a lockdown, I pressed record and I said, hi, it's April 25th, 2020, and in 3 days from now, a program called Pandemic Unemployment Assistance is about to go live. But as a new channel, I want to tell you this. I want you to get your application in today, the 25th. I don't want you to wait to the 28th. The viewers who listened, this is what happened. They heard me on the 25th, on the very first day of this channel. They heard on the 25th, apply on the 25th. They applied on the 25th. And guess what happened? On the 28th, when the programs went live in certain states, they woke up that morning and there was a direct deposit of cash in their account. This is why you apply ahead of time. Now, what happened on the 28th? On the 28th, some people who waited to apply on the 28th, when did they get paid? The 29th? No. The 30th? No. A month later. You don't wait for the application to go live, or the payouts to go live. You pounce as soon as they start taking the application. So let's go back to that map. In the case of Ohio, it's pink. That means they're not paying out. Does that mean you wait? No. That means you get your application on file right now. Ohio, they're taking the applications, but they're not paying yet. Once they have the payment open, you're going to get the checks the very first day the payments go open. You don't wait to hear, oh, my neighbor got paid yesterday. Oh, I'll go apply. Then you get paid, ages on. And potentially it may run out of funds. So do not wait, Purple Hawks, pounce. Now, how do you get this money? What is this money for? And all the details of it. Let's go over the details of it right now. This is for homeowners, number one. Eligibility, 75,000 less, single individual, you get it. Married couple, 150,000 less, you get it. If you're on benefits, you can get it as well. It is to cover anything that is homeowner-ish, but in a way that's much better than anything we see on the channel. It covers items like property insurance. Yes, wow. Property taxes, association fees, and mortgage assistance. How do you apply? You become a member. Go under this video and become a member. The membership newsletter goes out Monday through Friday. 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, via the YouTube alert system. At the very top of the membership newsletter, it features the name of the program, this homeowner's grant, the link to apply, the eligibility, the items it pays for, and everything you need to know. As soon as this program was announced by the federal government 2 Fridays ago, no one covered it except me. And I immediately rolled it out to the members. They've already gotten their application on file. As one person in live chat just said a minute ago, she got their application on file. Congratulations. Do it and bounce purple hawks. Now, the membership newsletter also features third stimulus. Let me explain third stimulus versus this. Third stimulus is still paying out for renters and homeowners. This, the homeowners grant, is for homeowners. You can get both. So the homeowners have this fourth stimulus and third stimulus, and the renters have third stimulus. I got money for all of you across the land. There is money for all of you of all different subject matters. We're going to go more about this incredible money later in this video, but first let's turn to the breaking news about that 6th stimulus package. When you hear a numbering system on the channel, it does not mean one comes after the other. It means that I'm just differentiating them across the board. The 6th stimulus package will be a stimulus package caused by Putin. First, second, third stimulus packages work because of COVID. 6 is because of Putin. And why is a 6th stimulus package needed? Because Putin is causing economic instability internationally. And 6th stimulus was first manifested and confirmed by Germany and France's leaders no less than 2 weeks ago. Minutes ago, breaking details by Germany and France. I'll have those in just for you in a second. But since then, there's been a very, very clear messaging that the 6th stimulus will be on an international level, Germany, France, and the United States, and a state level. So let's go over the details of it right now. When you look at 6th stimulus, this will heat up in the month of April. You want to keep the month of April in check. Why? This is a trifecta between Germany, France, and the United States. It started 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, your Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, reached out to Germany and said, get off of Russian oil. They said, we can't. We're too dependent on it. Then immediately we, as a country, said, we're going to get off of Russian oil. Morally, you have to. And then Germany pivoted. Said, you're right, Blinken. We have to get off of Russian oil. We will, although we can't afford it. So to afford it, we're going to do a major 6th stimulus package. It will involve debt spending by Germany and stimulus to its citizens. But Germany's not alone. The same comment was said by the White House and by also France. They're all saying it because it's part of a trifecta of Germany, France, and the United States. An international 6th stimulus package because of Putin. What's the breaking news minutes ago? Minutes ago, Germany and France confirmed that their presidents both reached out to Putin in the last 24 hours, telling him to stop the war. And they said they were very vigorous in their statements to Putin. All the latest details on that in tonight's evening's LA broadcast, but it's huge because Germany and France and the United States all have progressively aligned leaders at the moment. And they all say they're doing a 6th stimulus package. Now, why do they need it? Because of the removal of Russian oil from the equation will send their economies into potential downspin, and their citizens won't be able to afford higher gas prices. So they have to give you stimulus. They're not alone. There will also be state stimulus. Different than this map, there will be state stimulus. Why? Because state governors, Republican and Democrat, have now come out and say, you know what? We need to provide assistance to our residents. They can't afford the price of gasoline, so we will give them assistance, and that will be on a state level. And that happened in cue to this channel. When I first debuted 6th stimulus in prime time on March 8th, 2022, at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, we hadn't heard about anything like this domestically. But it changed by the time that broadcast. 1 hour after that broadcast aired, governors started saying, we're going to be doing our type of relief. What does it look like? It looks different every state across the board. Some state governors are saying they're going to waive the taxes on gasoline at the pump, which would reduce the price of gasoline. Where's that price of gasoline right now on today's broadcast? The AAA national average is trending at about $4.33 a gallon nationwide. The Brent crude is up about 183 to 205, and these are numbers that are unsustainable. Let's understand what's happening. Gasoline is unsustainable at these levels because of Vladimir Putin's equation. And if they continue at these levels, we go into recession next year. What's at issue? We have just about 6 more weeks of this. If we continue at the current gasoline levels through the month of May 2022, we're going to recession for 2 years. So to prevent economies like ourselves, Germany and France, from going into recession, what are they doing? They're preparing a 6th stimulus package. Let's go over the analysis right now. First, is 6th stimulus, why you say it's Putin-caused stimulus, is an oil-caused stimulus? Oil will be the understanding of why the 6th stimulus package exists, but it's a little bit more than oil. More about that second. Stimulus 1, 2, and 3, COVID. 6, Putin or oil is how people are going to see it. But it's a little bit more complicated than oil. Let me tell you the latest update on the oil front right now. And I'll have it tonight on Evenings LA in prime time. The situation on oil domestically and internationally is not being solved by the White House. Number one, the White House needs to ramp up production domestically and hasn't had that opportunity, hasn't done it. Let's look at the equation. U.S. doesn't import a lot of Russian oil, less than 3%. So our banning of Russian oil potentially will be not a non-economic event domestically. It'll be a moral event. But we need to ramp up production domestically to bring down the price of gasoline. How does this work? The more gasoline, the cheaper it is. So if you have more gasoline produced domestically, the cheaper it is. Who can produce more gasoline? Americans. For Americans, our American production company, our American oil companies. They, since day one of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, have said to the White House, we will increase if you tell us to increase. What happened this week? 2 weeks of this Russian invasion of Ukraine, the White House has refused to increase production. Finally, this week, Jennifer Granholm, the Energy Secretary, says the White House likes the idea of increasing production. Liking the idea and asking for it are two different things. West Texas immediately said, no one's asked us to increase production still. They may like the idea, they haven't asked us. So at the time of this recording, which is just after 9 o'clock a.m. Pacific Standard Time, March 12th on a Saturday morning, Texas has not been asked to increase production by the White House. This is not a good look, and it's not a good economic situation because West Texas can get gasoline down, or can they? Tonight on 80s LA, I'll go into another part of the equation, which is West Texas gasoline is not ready for our pumps, says some analysts. Rather, the gasoline has to come from the Gulf region of Texas because the West Texas gasoline is not gas station ready gasoline. It's a little bit too high in the crude value. More about that tonight at Eats LA. But for now, no one in Texas has had their gasoline production increased by the White House. They've been asking guidance, and they've not been told to do it. We'll see whether the White House pivots tonight on Evenings LA on that front. The other front is internationally. Internationally, we have to have our partner countries get off of Russian oil, but they can't if they don't have a solution. Germany, France are among the countries that have 40% of their gasoline coming from Russia, number one. So they get off of Russian oil. Where are they going to get the oil from? Again, this is where the partner countries have not pivoted correctly. And the only person who can do this for us is Joseph Biden. The person whose job is to increase production domestically is the president. The person who gets the partner countries to get on another oil is the president. Let's go over the part of the equation right now. Germany says we'll get off of Russian oil, but we need to get onto something else. What is the something else? Venezuela, option number one, being pursued by the White House, but not actually getting a deal or actually formulating a deal. Actually, let me rephrase that. Being pursued, no. Being considered by the White House, but actually being done, no. I'll tell you why in Evenings LA. So they're out of the equation. Iran and Iraq. Iran is an option the White House is pursuing, but it does not have a time horizon this next 30 days. It has a time horizon of maybe 90 days out. So it's not a real formative event. Iraq and the OPEC plus countries. This is an actual option. And like United Arab Emirates, this is an actual option that could work. Is the White House getting a deal with those partner countries? It is not. Has the White House tried to get a deal with those partner countries? It has not. So the White House is doing nothing to get some gasoline to our partner countries, like France and Germany, from UAE. It's doing nothing. And guess what? If those partner countries don't have gasoline, they go into recession. If they go into recession, we go into recession. The situation is entangling by the second, and we only have a few weeks to go. Yes, this needs to be done by May. If you don't get done by May, we go into recession for 2 years. Now, that is why sixth stimulus is heating up very quickly. France, Germany, and the United States. You're going to watch April. Why? April is the month in which France's leader, Macron, learns if he's reelected. If he's reelected, it's good news for six stimulus because the trifecta of Germany, France, and the United States is in place to get that six stimulus package done. But the problem when we talk about six stimulus, and that's why you watch this channel, is it's more than just oil. It's out of control commodity prices like wheat and grain, and it's potentially also the industry of banking. Wheat and grain comes from the Ukrainian area of the Black Sea. Now, that Black Sea area near Odessa, which I'm going to show you in this beautiful footage in just a second, is surrounded by Russian troops. The farmers can't farm wheat. They have to defend their country. And so the crop of this season is lost. And the crop of the season after this is lost because they cannot prepare the soil for next season. This is going to go on for several years to come, even if the war ends in 2 months from now, because several seasons of crops are lost. In the United States, we grow wheat, soybeans, and corn, and other grains like that. But if the shortage is internationally at hand and staying around, it drives our prices up. So if you're at the supermarket today and buying some bread, you'll see that the prices went up. That's because of the shortage in Ukraine. And this problem could send us into recession as well. This is why when we talk about six stimulus package for France, United States, and Germany, it's more than just oil. It's also this out of control situation for the commodities. And then it can get even worse. The last part of the equation is the scariest part of the equation for me because no one sees this coming or understands the risks and may not know it till later this year. The banking industry. The banking industry, the United States banks have exposure in Russia. They have investments in Russian bonds, and they have investments in Russian equities. How much? We really don't know. How much of a loss they're going to take? We don't know. Why they're going to take a loss? Vladimir Putin, when he invaded Ukraine, had the number 10 largest economy in the world. He also had his bonds and equities with great credit rating. They're about to become valueless. They're about to become like the next Cuba, valueless. So those U.S. banks that had a Russian bond position of, let's say, $500 million is about to become zero. And then when they do the corporate earnings for Q2 or Q3 this year, they say, hi, by the way, we have a line item of a major loss because we actually had a big Russian bond investment of this that became valueless. We don't know that risk. We don't know that risk at the time of this recording, March 12th, on a Saturday morning. Nor does potentially the White House, and maybe Jay Powell doesn't even know the risk. This is very scary. How scary is this? Remember why George Bush Jr. did not get reelected. The banking industry was about to go under. And Barack Obama and Joe Biden came in and had to solve the banking industry overnight. In California, you woke up one morning and banks were gone. They literally were gone overnight. The fallout of the banking industry, if Russian debt becomes valueless by end of this week, end of next week, is a risk that no one knows at the moment. And that's why when we talk about six stimulus for you in the United States, it potentially may be more than just oil caused by Putin. It may be crops and may also be the housing industry and also the banking industry. Very, very scary across the board. We'll have more about tonight in Evenings LA in prime time. But first, let's go to that third stimulus. I'm so excited for you. I got money for you for all different things. I can get you money for homeowners grant, $80,000 as a member of this channel. And then I can get you money for rent and homeowners for third stimulus. Remember, third stimulus has rent and homeowners assistance. Where do you get this incredible sums of money? If you're a member of this channel, it's in the membership newsletter. But let's go over the details of it right now. You're going to reach out to 6 places. You're ready? You're going to reach out to your city hall, your city housing authority, your county hall, your county housing authority. And the keywords you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID, mortgage or utility assistance because of COVID. Get your application on file everywhere. Do multiple rounds and reach out to all 6 places. So first, reach out to all 6 places. Then do multiple applications and do multiple rounds. Again, this can overlap with that $80,000 of checks covered earlier in this video. It's all featured in the membership newsletter for members that goes out Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time via the YouTube alert system. The membership link is under the video. The nonprofits also do home repairs. So remember, you can get nonprofit home repairs and also get home repairs from that $80,000. The average viewers of the channel has gotten 45,000. We had new success stories overnight as well. I'll feature those success stories on that evening's broadcast. Do it today. Don't wait. And there you go. As we go into a big noontime, coming up next is I Stand With Ukraine Home Edition. We'll be going over the situation unfolding for oil, gas, your money, third stimulus, fourth stimulus, and sixth stimulus because of the invasion of Ukraine by Vladimir Putin. It's not going to be a one-week invasion. It's now heading to potentially a month and long. And what does this mean domestically for your price point? What does it mean for the threat of a recession and inflation? And what does it mean for the next stimulus package? One paying out right now, $80,000. We'll go over more about those checks at noontime. And then those next set of checks under the sixth stimulus package. We'll be looking at Build Back Better Act as well, but then turning to the situation internationally and how it impacts you across the board. It's a big broadcast. It's coming up at noontime if you're watching Mornings LA live on air. Then join me tonight in prime time with America's most watched show in prime time for financial news. It's Evenings LA, 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Stay informed, stay focused. Have a beautiful morning because the toast is toasting, the butter was buttering, and the oil needs to be refined. Stay informed, stay focused, and stay with LA for more.